something we all need. Gotta have it now if you wanna succeed. Striving, surviving, that's no doubt. Sticking together, we gon' find a way out. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all.
Good afternoon, the back community. You guys know how I like to start these off by saying, as always, thank you for staying involved. Thank you for staying engaged. Tonight we have some new flavor. The flavor of the week is going to be talking to you about her authentic journey. Tonight's guest that we have on the back community is Miss Navasia Collier. So, Vaj, thank you very much for extending me your time this afternoon. And I look forward to diving into your story.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the platform.
Okay. Well, it's nice to have this platform, and I know we have some new platforms that's getting ready to launch for you too. But I won't spill the beans all at once. I have some other things I want to dive into with you first before we get there. But the back community, as I mentioned, tonight's guest is Miss Navasia Collier. The first question I always like to hit you with is, please, for the Capital District area, as well as our listeners outside of the Capital District, please tell us about yourself. Tell us what it is that you do by profession, and tell us about her authentic journey. Here's your opportunity to tell the back community about you.
Okay, well, I am Navasia Collier. I like to say I'm a woman of compassion, right? I'm usually the quieter one that you could find in a room full of extroverts. I am a soon-to-be wife and a mother of 3, and I help the resilient yet reserved woman to finally prioritize herself and to start building a life that is and feels more purposeful and fulfilled. And I do that by empowering her to be true to who you are, not who you've had to be. I am also the creator and host of Her Authentic Journey, the podcast, which launches next week, where I go before her, right? Giving what I only wish someone had given me early on in life, sharing my lessons learned and unlearned along my personal journey. And it's a journey of letting go of striving for a life that you think you have to live, to then build a life that is authentic to you. And on the podcast, I also introduce a more intentional approach to life and navigating life through my method on purpose framework. We have conversations that we don't usually speak of, that we rarely allow ourselves to speak of, and just meet different people and women along their journey and their stories. So it'll be fun.
Okay. All right. So your primary audience is going to be women.
Yes.
Because I'm double. I'm coming back to that only because I enjoy the audios that you put out, the reels. I enjoy the words that you put out, the affirmations that you speak into existence. And so I'm saying that so I might be getting shortchanged right now because I ain't gonna get none of that goodness. This is just for the beautiful ladies.
You're actually not the only one that has said that. Yes, I do find that a lot of men do love the affirmations and the things I post, but it's well and it's fine. Okay. It's fine. I'm speaking more to the women though. Yes.
Okay. So I respect it and I appreciate you staying in line with what it is, what your ultimate vision is, which is to broadcast this information to women. I know when I was running my mentoring program there in Albany, Model, I used to get questions. I used to get asked questions all the time, like, Tyrell, why don't you do this for women? Because I only work with young men, 12 to 18. It was like, why don't you open up a program for women? I'm just like, that's not my space. It's like, I can't navigate those experiences as well as I could for young males. So I was just talking doodle to you. I totally understand why you have selected your audience And I think it will allow you to be authentic, which is your ultimate goal in her authentic journey.
Right.
Let me see, man. First things first, what part of the Capital District did you grow up in? I always like to get a better understanding or a clearer understanding of you.
Okay. I grew up what we consider across town. Actually right behind the Delaware Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
I grew up right behind there on Morris Street. I was there up until about middle school, and then I moved over to North Albany, where most people know me from, which is North Albany. And I was there till about my junior year of high school. So I spent the majority of my time, I would say, in North Albany.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know you and I crossed paths at some point during high school. And that was through the Essential Schools program.
Yes.
Yep. Shout out to all of those teachers with Essential Schools: George Benson, Ellen Muljohn, Miss C. I'm actually I'm planning a reunion to get them all actually on this podcast as well, because
that would be so nice. Wow.
Yeah. Our what they were able to do for us at a time where we hadn't been exposed to learning outside of the classroom, I think it was leaps and bounds ahead of its time. So I really wanted to get them back together as the architects of that, to see, how education looks for them now, as opposed to what they were creating or envisioning our educational pursuits to look like. But yeah, I know that was when I first met you there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Well, how did you, because this is you being your authentic self, I'm not going to say how you chose to get into that career, but what made you decide to start creating her authentic journey? What made you decide to put on pen and paper, to put on social media your travels, your journey?
Well, I can give you a backstory on how this all transpired. Growing up, I come from a family of nothing but strong and independent women, right? Where they took care of everything, they took care of everyone. And to me, it just seemed like they did it with so much ease, right? And as the oldest of 5 in the household, and then becoming a teen mom myself, I naturally followed the footsteps of those women before me, right? And if I'm honest, I really held it as a badge of honor, thinking that on the other side of each storm that I faced, that happiness and fulfillment was waiting for me, but it never actually did. Over and over, it just never actually happened. And fulfillment is actually happiness that is developed as you fully develop into one's character and abilities, which means that happiness is found from within, right? And it deepens as you evolve into your, true authentic being. And there are times when sometimes we can feel as if we were meant for so much more, or we can, feel guilty or unappreciative for loving everything that we have, but yet there's still an emptiness from within. And it was in the midst of those feelings where it was I felt like I hit a hard time, where I found myself. It was actually October 4th, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, which we're still in. I found myself in the rain with no umbrella. I found myself kneeled in front of my grandmother's grave, crying without hiding that time, praying and asking her and asking God for help for the very first time as an adult. I didn't know what else to do. I took care of my responsibilities. I pushed through. I didn't involve anybody in my mess. And I didn't look like anything that I've been through, but yet I still couldn't shake this feeling. And just ahead and across the parking lot was everything I ever loved and everything I ever was. A mother, a protector, a provider, a caregiver, a lover, even my ID badge for my 20 plus year career that I had maintained. Like, that's who I was. Like, that's all I've ever been. That's all I ever knew to who I was to be. And I had to ask myself, well, if that is who I am, then who is here kneeled in front of this grave, right? Who is here kneeled before God? And at that point, I just knew that I had to do something different. Like, I had to do something different. And that change had to happen from within me, because I need to get to the core of who I am. Because I was someone before all those things that I identified with myself that was waiting for me. I was someone before that. I just kind of lost myself in the meantime. And so I knew I had to do something different. I couldn't continue in life in the same way that I had, because it got me to where I was, but it wasn't moving me any further. And that was the wall that I had hit at that time. And it can be hard facing that when you feel you need to move, but you can't really move. So it was then that when I got up off of that wet grass, I knew that I wanted to live instead of just surviving, right? And I had to circle back to who I am authentically, who I was made to be. And so that's when I decided to actively begin this journey, because I believe this journey happened well before I actively began on it. But that's when I began to actively start on this journey. And without a blueprint, really, I would say, like I said, I did all the things that I thought I was supposed to do, but it wasn't getting me anywhere. So I had to take that first step and alone with no guidance. And as I did that, I kind of learned things along the way, learning, like I say, how to navigate life in a more intentional way. And I just know that I am not the only one. Absolutely. You know, I'm not the only one. And I have to reach back, and I just wish someone would have shown me a different way early on. Not so much, we see people that have made it, quote unquote, and they come from our similar stories, but yet what did you do before, what did you do in order to get to where you are? Sometimes we need that middle part. We need to know what our next best step is. And so that's why, for some reason during this journey, I felt I needed to document it. I felt I needed to document it, and I felt like someone else needs to hear this. They need to hear it. So that's what started me on. I started with a blog, actually, because like I said, I am the quieter one. So I like to write rather than, show up on camera. But so I did that, and then I transitioned to podcasts because I believe that that's the best way to reach the woman that I'm speaking to. She's a busy woman, and sometimes we don't have time to sit and read too much. So I just feel like this will, taking her along my journey and the lesson that I've learned so far, I believe it will help. If it just helps one person and one woman out there, then I feel I've done what I've come to do. So that's how it all started.
Well, you said everything, so I'm not going to let you go forward until I dissect those things, because I actually started this podcast or this journey with the Black community in 2020 during the pandemic. At that time, I think we all might have been in a position to better grasp with our reality, because we don't have as many distractions, because the world came to a complete halt for the most part. So now all of these feelings, these wants, these aspirations, these dreams, and it's just like, am I living my authentic self? Or is there something else I could be or should be doing to add my flavor to the world? I love that connection for you. Figured out that there's still more to you. I think we're all icebergs. So they say 90% of who we are or our mass is underneath the surface. Most people can't see that. So when you were identifying who you were in your career, who you were as a mom, who you were as a spouse, who you were to the community, there were all these other things. But before that, there was a dream. There was a hope. And I think one of the most I want to say aspirational things that we can do is to try to tap back into that and to make sure that, I'm doing my authentic part. I'm satisfied. I'm content with the contributions that I'm bringing to the world. And that's what I get. That's what I get whenever I hear you. One, you have a very soothing voice. So he's just like, yeah. So it sounds like I'm in therapy whenever I'm listening to you anyways. It's like, yeah, have you thought of the bird lilies? So I can imagine that you're going to be able to bring therapeutic intervention just by sharing your authentic journey, as well as tapping into the stories of other women. And because like you said, you're not alone. And I think Black women on top of women in general are way stronger than men, obviously, because of the things you guys got to endure and go through maternity, but just in general. And it's just like navigating all of those different hats and still coming out with a well-balanced person on the other end that finds contentment for herself. Yeah. Hold on. What was the other thing? Something else that you said. It was that. And did you say the first time that you actually really prayed as an adult was that time when you knelt down there in front of your grandmother's grave? I thought that's what I heard, and I was just like, wow, that was pretty interesting, because I'm not sure at what point your grandmother passed away, but I know you said you were as an adult. How was that experience for you, and did that experience prove to be exactly what it was that you needed, seeking out or reaching out to your grandparents, to your grandmother's spirit, because spirituality is a huge part of who I am. So when I heard it, I'm just like, wow. So okay, but yeah, how has that changed your transition? How has that become a part of her authentic journey?
Well, that was the very day I started on my authentic journey, which coupled with my spiritual journey as well. Believe it or not. Like I said, I found myself there just praying. Like I wasn't premeditated or anything, but it's just, I was drawn to really reaching out and asking for help and praying. And ever since then, walking away from that, like I said, and committing to live instead of surviving, I really took the time to dig deep into who God is and who God says that I am, because I lost that along the way. Sometimes we can face things in life that we can question, why me? Why would God bring me into this world and face these things? And I faced that several times in my life, which is the backstory of why that was my first time as an adult. But it really has started a real spiritual journey and a connection and relationship that I now have with God. Like it's part of my daily routine every morning, every day. I have a whole, like, I can't even tell you, it's changed everything for me, and it's brought everything into perspective. Like now I'm working with God instead of trying to work as God in my own life, and try to control things and, and ignore things. So yes. That's where I am today. And it's growing and growing. I love that part of my journey as well. I do.
It is positioning ourselves to be where God needs us to be, to learn what it is that we're supposed to learn. And then, like you said earlier, learning how to let go of some of the things that we need to let go too. Because as you were saying earlier, you were just like, you've realized that you being a certain way or you doing certain things may have worked for you to get to where you are. But most of us don't know how to let those things go to get to where we're going. We end up the same defense mechanisms, the same reactions, the same emotions into every stage of life with us when really they no longer serve a purpose. So I also heard that from you. So.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I say that secret key to your more, you'll hear more about it in the podcast, but the secret key to your more is being true to who you are, not who you had to be. Like you said, you bring all those things with you, and it's maybe you're not that person, you're not in that space anymore. So yeah.
Well, I do this periodically throughout the interview too, but I know the launch is coming, you said next week for the podcast. Right now they can find you on social media at Her Authentic Journey, but where is the availability going to be for the podcast? You're going to be on all
the podcast launches February 2nd. You can find it on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts as well.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to do both video and audio?
No, I'm starting out with audio
because
I am being authentic to who I am. And I know I have to take baby steps, but the bigger vision, still staying true to my mission, but in a way that's comfortable for me right now. But I will be transitioning to video soon.
Okay. and one, so the authentic part of podcasting is just audio. Here it was that, I started out doing videos before I did actual podcasting. And I never really, it took me through trial and error, learn what podcasting, the heart of podcasting was. And what I've, like I said, I started just doing videos. I wasn't available on podcasting platforms. And then I realized I was just like, oh, you know what? I actually did it backwards. So I said, well, I just started with audio. I started with video. So then after doing the podcast for a year, I ended up having to transition to bring all my old stuff over just from video to audio and then moving on. So either which way, I think they both serve, they both have benefits, especially creating visualizations for your words, because it allows the people to see you, not only hear you, but to see you in the message that you're getting across. So there's benefits in both. When you mentioned YouTube, so I was like, oh, so you're going to be doing both. So. Nope. Let me see. Growing up, I know you answered somewhat of a question that I typically ask. So I'm not going to ask that same exact question, but I'm going to ask you this question. Did you have a mentor as a young adult growing up? And if so, what was that person's impact on you, or what was the lack of an impact of having a mentor on you?
A mentor. I would have to say it would be my grandmother. It would have to be not too many people, I would say, outside of my family. Like I said, I was a teen mom, so I kind of had to grow up kind of fast. So I looked to, those older women. And what I learned, actually both of my grandmothers, what I learned from them is one, that it's okay to have a softer version of you, even if Even if you feel like you're going through the hardest time ever, that it's okay to be that softer version of yourself. And my other grandmother, she taught me she lived. Like my grandmother really, she really lived outside of the box of what I guess a grandmother would be. She took me to my first hip hop concert. She was the one that introduced me to Future when Future came out. Like she's so outside of the box. They taught me without knowing they taught me more about life and thinking outside of the box. So at first I didn't understand what led me to my grandmother's grave that day, but now that I play it back, I understand why, because my question was, and I wanted to live, and who better than her, to guide me in that way, I guess. When I think of life and living, I think of her. So because she did that. She's definitely one of a kind. She's not the soft person that you would think a grandmother was, but
yeah, obviously, especially when you said that she put you on the Future. I don't even listen to Future myself, but it was just like, wow, she put you on the Future. So yeah.
First came out, yeah, she put me onto Future. Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Future song that I listen to, and I argue with Kashif Thompson about Future. Seems like once a month. But he's got one song that I love, and that was really because Kendrick Lamar was on the remix. But I understand his value, and I understand the culture. So if your grandmother was able to see that in him, she was definitely she was on to something even back then. So
yes,
she said she put me in the Future. I said, what?
I know. I know.
Part of figuring out who we are is through trial and error. And I know several times already you've already mentioned that you were a team mom. One, I didn't even know that. I'm gonna tell you that. So, and I probably did, but most people don't realize that I got kicked out of high school. So, yeah. See, a lot of people don't remember, like when you go through experiences or and you overcome experiences. A lot of people will forget some of those hardships that you actually had to go through to get to where you are, because it seems like this final picture, this portrait is so much better, right? But yeah, so I didn't know that, but I brought that up to say this. I know your oldest, I believe, is now away in college in Georgia.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
At Clark, Atlanta. She's actually heading back this week. She's been home because of the pandemic. She's been home for a while, but they're opening back the campus back up on Thursday. So she's going back soon. But yes, my daughter, the one I was pregnant with her my senior year of high school. Yes, and she's in Clark, Atlanta. I'm so proud of her. So proud of her. Yes.
Right. Yeah, and I think the sentiment was shared with your fiance as well. That's found out through interviewing him. But it's crazy because, like I said, we don't realize midway through senior year I was gone, so I finished up at night school.
I didn't know. I think I remember you were at graduation though, right?
Graduation. I graduated.
All right.
Finished, over at the Brooklyn. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was tumultuous. I wanted to cry every day getting kicked out of school. I'm just like, I how people live through these experiences. I'm just like, I'm in a bubble. So, right. We learn from our experiences, and I think you as a mom, I know you say you're a mom of 3, but you learn from your experiences, and our experiences shape us and help to identify who we really are. And sometimes you got to go through those experiences to come out and be able to appreciate it for what it is.
Right.
And not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah, now I'm going to go back to the full-fledged question that you alluded to earlier, because I think it's really important now having the ability to look and have retrospect. What is one thing that you wish, or if you could talk to the younger version of Navasia Collier, one thing that you wish that someone would have said to you or pointed out to you if you were trying to help someone else navigate them finding their authentic journey much earlier for themselves?
I would tell her to write it on paper. That's what I would say. Write it on paper. Just dump things out. Dump things out. Don't hold so much in. I would tell her that she is purposeful. Even though this is a rough time, it is just a time that will pass, that she doesn't have to do it alone, that she is not alone because, she can feel alone. So she's not alone. And there's a bigger picture, and, she will get through it.
Nice. Okay. Hey, you made me think about it. I'm sitting here, and don't kill me for this, but are you and Sheena related at all?
Yes.
Listen. I know the last names are the same, and the younger version of the younger version of myself didn't make connections as well as he should have. But I did interview her season 1. But now, whenever I see your name and I see her name, I know that it's the same.
Yes,
so
actually, she's my aunt.
Really? Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, shout out to Sheen Dean out there in Boston.
Sheena, yes. She is doing great things out there in Boston. Yes, she is.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let me see. For you, how would you define success, Vaj? And this is a question I regularly ask everyone as well, because I think the definition the word itself may hit each of us different. But if you were to describe success, how would you describe success? What does success mean to you?
Success, peace. Peace. That's what I would say. Yeah. Having a sense of peace from within, I believe, is success. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will accept it. I will accept it. It's the first time I heard peace, and I think it has so much value behind what you just said that most people, it probably just went over their head.
Right.
But think of all of the things that are associated with peace. Stability, sanity. Commitment. I like it.
Sentiment, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. And as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a fiance, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance?
Boundaries, which is pretty big for the woman I am, for the strong woman that I am. Yes, having boundaries and
boundaries.
Okay. Yes, having those boundaries and really doubling down on what is important to me and then focusing on that really allows me to set those boundaries in a way that I don't feel so like I'm neglecting anything or anyone. It's definitely a process, I had to figure out, but it's definitely work as long as, everyone's on the same page, you communicate, it's definitely fine. Like, for instance, the weekends, I do no work on the weekends. Weekends is family time. And my Sundays, I'm sure you know because you follow me on Instagram, my Sundays are dedicated to me. Like I do nothing outside of what I feel like doing or my energy can allow me to do. Which I'm saying I'm smiling because I'm proud of it, because there's Sundays that I was just dragging my body to do things and cook and clean and do everything on Sunday to prep for a Monday, when I can, like, you know, give myself what I need physically and mentally on Sundays.
I like it. And it's important. And I can say it now as a man who's been married for 7 years, about to be 8 this year. And, you know what I mean, for 9. Yeah. So now I understand those things where it is important to give yourself time and freedom that sometimes they come off as a conflict to your spouse, but really it's not. And I know earlier in my relationship, you know, where my wife wanted to explore and take part in different things, I'd be like, you know, well, you know, you might need to just focus on this. And I didn't realize how smothering that could possibly come off. So, you know, it took me years and through therapy and through trial and error to realize that there's nothing wrong with creating those spaces. And actually, I should find more time to create spaces for myself as well. And I think, that allows us to have that balance with our wants, our dreams, aspirations, as well as our responsibilities.
Right. Yes, I'm actually fortunate enough to have a fiance that wants nothing but for me to be in a good space. There's plenty of times I look at him like, oh wow, like really? But I don't think it's by accident. I really don't think it's by accident. Like me going through this journey, I'm sure, you know, just think about it. Like I said, I'm engaged to be married, and I went through this journey as I am engaged. And he's very understanding. And for some reason he knew and allowed me the space to do what it is I needed to do and figure things out as I figured them out along the way. So I tell him all the time how grateful I am. Like, I appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely important, man. It's important to have the support. It's important to have the space. It's important for support and for space, because who we are is ever evolving. You know what I mean? Who we are right gonna be different than who we are 2 years from now. And to have space to be able to make those changes along the way helps.
Absolutely.
Here's one of my favorite questions from season 1. I ain't gonna hold you up. I got time. I ain't gonna hold you up for too much longer. But here's one of my favorite questions from season 1 that I always like to ask, because it allows me to learn more about your authentic characteristics. Your favorite place to visit in the California area and why?
I would have to say the crossings.
Okay.
I would say, you asked why, right? Because crossings, it gives me a good feeling. I don't know, it's because of the space that they have there, you know, the walking area. It just seems like, I don't know, it gives me good vibes. It gives me really, really good vibes. You'll go there and forget where you are, really. Forget you're in Albany. But I would have to say the crossings. I spent many of days in the crossings, walking for hours and hours. But yeah.
I can see how space like that would actually help you to do introspection, to take that journey within. I've never gone to the crossings as much as I have heard nothing but positive about it. You know, I would typically go downtown to the riverfront, but I always said, you know, one of these days I was gonna go out there, but I never did. So, sound nothing but space and opportunity. Everyone that goes there, I hear nothing but great about it.
Yes.
Let's see. If you were to I know it's hard to narrow it down, but if you were to, what about your life's path are you most proud of, Beige?
Oh, most proud of? Oh, this is hard to narrow it down. You're right. Okay. I don't know. I really don't want to sound full of myself, but I have to, this is what I'm most proud of today. I am proud of taking a chance and taking, a chance on myself, giving myself the permission to walk into what it is that I only wish I had the strength and the capacity to step into years ago. I would say that's what I'm most proud of myself. Yes, the bravery and the guts and that it took. Yes. Initially it was going to be my daughter, of course, but I was going to say my daughter. I'm proud of her too, but I would have to say I'm most proud in this moment. I'm most proud of, because I know there's a trickle effect from that. It takes one person to do, and then, so yes, that's my answer.
Congratulations to you on taking the step. And I think for a lot of us, we have brainchilds and things that we want to bring to life that ultimately we don't do for an array of different reasons. One being fear, sometimes being resources, sometimes not being supported. You know what I mean? But, so you finding the space and, like, as you mentioned, bravery to go after and create that space. It should be. So congratulations to you on that one. Congratulations. That's super huge too. But
thank you.
What did you say? You hope it wasn't a something about your answer. You said, I hope this isn't a
it doesn't make me seem like I'm so full of myself.
Yeah.
It
doesn't. And I'm actually glad you chose it doesn't make you sound full of yourself. It actually makes you sound exactly like the person who you're selling, Beige. Your story is her authentic journey, right? So for you to craft out or to say something else different, it would not have been right. So no,
right.
That was a good one. I do like to ask from time to time, because I'm a reader, an avid reader, but I'm always looking for sources of motivation. And as I can go to your page and always find a motivation on her authentic journey, what are some of the things that motivate you? Are you reading books, listening to any other podcasts, anything that you would like to put the Black community listeners onto?
Yes, right now I'm reading Believe Bigger by Marshawn Evans. I listen to podcasts very often. What's my favorite podcast? I would say Redefining Wealth. Let's see, that's the one that comes off the top of my head. Also, what keeps me motivated is my I love my affirmations. I really do. Like, they keep me going every day. So yeah, the affirmation space. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I just can't think of too many titles right now. But yes, I'm like constantly making sure my environment is set up in a way that is in support of who I am and who it is I want to grow and to be. So I'm very intentional about that. Music, it all. I actually started listening to affirmations through music. I developed all these different playlists, for like affirmations, positive thinking, and all those things. So yes.
Okay. You might be the third interviewee that has actually put me on to the purpose behind affirmations. And I promise you, every time someone says the word affirmations now, I think of a past interview with Fatisha Thompson, and she started to rap out to sing one of her affirmations, and it's like, it's so catchy. It was like, that which is mine.
Mhm. Yes, yes.
That space for affirmations is.
Mhm.
Let me see. I have one more question for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. And I'm gonna say this one because, for obvious reasons, your life changed during high school, and you also just mentioned about the thought or the mindset of changing our financial literacy process. I know there was a particular name of the podcast you said you follow. It wasn't that, but I know it was based in financial literacy.
Redefining wealth.
Redefining wealth.
Mhm.
Okay. So, well, I guess wealth can be other things outside of money too.
That's
But
exactly what it's about,
that's
right?
when I heard it.
Uh-huh.
Should entrepreneurship be taught in middle and high schools, and why or why not?
Should it?
Yes. Should we entrepreneurship in middle and why or why not?
I believe it should. Why? Because the traditional image of how life is supposed to be, and you do the school, the graduating from college, and college. I don't believe college is for everyone. And I know growing up, I felt, I don't know how children feel these days, but I felt that college was the only. If I didn't do college, then what do I do? There's not another option for those who maybe college isn't for them. And also building a business and being an entrepreneur, it sets yourself up for generational wealth, and something that can be passed on. You can go to college, have your 9 to 5, and be an entrepreneur as well. So I do think that, yes, different trades and teaching, yeah, especially financial literacy, that's definitely a big one, especially in our communities. Like, it's a huge gap in that, as far as education behind it. Especially, I'm finding like a lot of us don't know too much about credit scores and things like that. So definitely things needed. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Until we mess them up, we don't know much about credit scores.
Right. Yes, guilty. Guilty. Yes.
Yep, myself too, man. And it's just like, so that's why I said when you mentioned the podcast about changing the shift our mindset around wealth, that's what came to my mind. But it was about creating generational wealth. It was about financial literacy. It was about understanding all of those things that we really didn't talk about in our households as much. We might not have known about all of the sacrifices that our parents had to do to keep National Grid on, or to keep us in a stable house and stuff like that. But to have conversations with our children now, and to be able to prepare them. I just did a math problem with my 5-year-old the other day, and it was about a student who was learning math, and she thought that math was dumb, right? So mother brought her to the grocery store and gave her $5 and asked her to purchase 2 avocados, right? And it gave the price of the avocados. So it was the avocados, and in this story was $1.50 for an avocado. So she had to get 2. Long story short, the mom had the daughter give the cashier $5, and then the cashier was supposed to give the daughter back. So 5 minus 3 was 2. So she was supposed to get 2 back. And I'm trying to explain this to my 5-year-old at the same time. And I was like, but the story says she only got $1 back. So I was like, did she get all of the money she was supposed to get? Right? Mm-hmm. He was just like, no, because 5 minus 3, daddy, is 2.
Right.
She got 2. right? So it's just like changing the mindset as early as possible about the conversation around math, money, wealth, starts with us. And I think our generation is in a far better position than where most of our parents were to be able to expose our own children and other children to that shift of mindset as it pertains to wealth.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Lastly, before you get up out of here, Miss Her Authentic Journey herself, please tell the viewers where they can find you at on social media. And then please do let us know once again when that podcast is going to be launched and available.
You can find me at Her Authentic Journey on Instagram and Facebook platforms. Her Authentic Journey, the podcast, launches February 2nd. You can head right over to my profiles and you can actually get on the wait list to receive the first episode. So nice. I'm excited. I'm excited. I really, really am.
It's nice. And congratulations to you again, Ms. Collier. Thank you for sharing your time with me this afternoon on the Black community. And I truly look forward to getting your story out to the people. Her Authentic Journey coming next week, available on all streaming podcasts. Follow her at Her Authentic Journey on Facebook as well as Instagram. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I'll catch up with you later.
Okay, thank you.
Peace.
Keep climbing up the ladder. A Black Lives Matter. It matter. So all you young people, give it all. 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 Matter. A Black Lives Matter. They matter.